Hello, everyone here. I can't get this the live video across, so I'm on YouTube and I'm on Instagram. I just thought that I would come live on here because I will answer any questions, but you can't see what I'm seeing, which is unfortunate. I'll tell you what I'll do. As soon as I finish this call, I'll stop this and I'll start a live call on my laptop because I think I can share my screen, but I don't know that. So if you've got any questions here, my Substack audience, I'd never take for granted. Keep going. Just put it on here, and I'll get back to you. All right. Right. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? 21. Is that all? People compare Wazzy Macron with Bumrah. Don't you think this is wrong? Well, they're both legends, aren't they? I am a warrior. I am a keyboard warrior. Is that what that means? How to remove back pain, some exercises. It doesn't matter how often you ask me that question. Hello, sir. How are you? Foot sport. Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you. Okay, let's get back to this. Let's get into it. All right. This is the bowler. Have a look at this. Hope you're all good. So one of the first things I don't know who it is. One of the first things I look at is, does it look like they want to bowl at their optimum pace? And this guy's steaming in. I love it. And then I say, that's a different bowler. And then I ask, well, okay, let's have a look at it. He's bowling to a left-hander, bowling over the wicket. Looks a flat wicket, that. What direction is he running in? Now, a lot of bowlers come in on an angle, and that's okay, as long as you straighten up as you get close to jumping into the crease, because you want your energy moving down the wicket towards the target, and the target is the wickets. A little bit more defined. The target generally is off stump, especially on flat wickets that don't do anything, unless the tactic is bowling channel. Because there might be periods of the game where you get given the ball and you say, right, we're just going to keep this game quiet a little bit, set the field, an offside field, and you give it to a bowler that you know can bowl sixth, seventh stump, and you quieten the game down. But in general, the game evolves around the top of off stump. Okay. Now, this bowler, I actually really like the way he runs in. We underestimate the impact our arms have on the way we run. Now, if you pump your arms, your legs generally will do the same. All right. We often talk about the importance of using our legs when we run. All right. But we have a top and we have a bottom. They both work hand in hand. If you pump your arms and you use your hands and move them vertically up and down through the target, that will have the effect of encouraging a knee lift and your feet to land underneath you. That is the key. Can you get your feet to land underneath you to keep you moving forwards? All right. Your center of mass, which effectively is kind of your belly button, that sort of area. If that is from side on, if your belly button is over your feet or even just in front of your feet, ideally when you're running towards a target, it's ideal. We get into a trouble a little bit when our center of mass, hey John, when our center of mass is behind our feet. That's when our feet land, hit the floor in front of us. We start slowing down, and that's not so good. But this bowler looks like he means business. You get into this position. I'm looking. Does he or she? I don't get many female videos. I'd like to. I have worked with some high quality female pace bowlers. And I'd like to do more. So don't be afraid to send me through your daughters, yours if you're female. Send me through your videos. You never know, I might just open it up. Upright, jump, gather, upright, jumping forwards, landing with the back foot right underneath, ideally, the right hip, which this bowler does. It looks good. Upright at point of contact. Now, what is upright? I like this angle because whoever's got the camera is right in behind the bowler. I've just got to turn my heater off just a minute. I get a bit hot. I'd like having some footage where the camera person is right in behind the bowler, so I can see the direction they are running in. Lots of footage used to be taken stump to stump, and that's also okay, but you can't see any change of direction. You can't really see that clearly and accurately. The direction, any changes of direction. So I like footage from behind the bowler, right behind them, so I can see exactly what is going on. But what is upright? An upright, the point of release is over the feet. And if I were going to be a little bit more detailed, a point of release right over the top, above front foot. Jane Levitt is in the house, everyone. Just about to embark on another record-breaking season. Just about to be selected and go on tour for England and the 40s. I'm sure you're 50. Only kidding. Jane Levitt, legend. So upright at point of release is if you freeze frame it, point of release, drop a vertical line, is that point of release above the front foot or the feet. All right. This bowler, you kind of get a bit of a sense there's a bit of falling away, which is interesting. Yeah, his point of release is right over the top of his left foot. You kind of get a little bit of a sense of that. So I would look at that and say, yeah, okay, point of release in a great position. Have a look at his front arm. If that front arm stays long, unwinds beautifully down the wicket. Front arm stays long, that then becomes a dead weight. You can see it's a bit blurry, but a dead weight. And if it stays long, it can kind of drag a bowler down that way with it. I'm picking at things a little bit here, but I'm curious, what if that front arm was brought in as opposed to pulled down? I don't know what effect that will have. There's been a bit of stick recently about coaches just referring to the front arm, use your front arm more, that kind of stuff. I don't really know what that means, other than, bowling is a two-sided action. You pull with one, pull your front arm, can keep you upright, ideally keeps you upright. The more efficient you use, in this case, your left arm, as long as things are stacked up on top of each other, starting with the feet and working up, if you're using your front arm, actually your right side can come over really efficiently as well. So I'm always curious as to, given that everybody is different, I'm curious as to how we can tweak, if anything, how somebody uses their front side. Not even necessarily their front arm. Can it be their shoulder? Can you pull that elbow in on your front arm in so it sits on the hip, because that then gets rotation around in the hips? This point here, you can't see it on Substack. I don't know what's going on, mate. StreamYard, it won't, it's lost connection to Substack for some reason. Second week in a row, can't do it. Jaden's my IT expert. and he is my media guru. In this position here, point of release, we are looking for hips to be upright, chest to be upright, everything to be moving down the wicket. And this bowler does it really well. Okay. Okay. What are his 4 strides like? And Jimmy, I think you're on. Yeah, Jimmy, we talked about this with your action recently. Jimmy Langley, I did a video analysis call with him recently. I love doing those calls. And if you're interested in that, click on the link and have a look at the video analysis, because it's your opportunity to get close to me. We jump on a call for 45 minutes, look at your action, talk all things cricket, and you end up with me on the line giving you what I see. And I always answer the question, if I were working with you on an ongoing basis, what would I choose to work on? Where are your quick wins? What's the longer term kind of plan? Anyway, that's an option there for you. So jump, gather, back foot contact, front foot contact, first stride follow through in there. Right. And as you can see here, those that have got the live, it is just cutting across the wicket a little bit, but this guy's bowling to a left-hander. So it's not unusual to see those 4 strides just on a bit of an angle, because it doesn't want to bowl leg stump or even down a leg side. So it's not unusual, but that's just something that I'm observing. I'm not saying that I would change necessarily, but this bowler looks good. Jaden, if you could see him, you'd want to sign him. He would do a job for you. He would do a job for most teams that he was playing in. So, given that most of the basics, the fundamentals are, does he run well? Yeah. I'd like to see some footage from side on to see where his feet are landing right underneath him, but it looks like he runs efficiently. Is he upright? Does he use his arms well? Is there any change of direction? No. Is he upright when he jumps? Yes. Does he jump forwards towards a target? Target is off stump. Yes. Is he upright at back foot contact? Yeah. Does he transfer nicely into front foot contact? Stays upright? Yeah. Is he upright at point of release? And does he follow through down the wicket? It's kind of all in place. I'm curious as to that kind of falling away. And I'm just wondering whether, because his feet does kind of cross over on a bit of an angle, whether he falls away a little bit to get back on line with the target. Maybe that is something that I wouldn't dive in. I wouldn't dive in and say, right, you need to change this, you need to change that, because I would want to have a look at this bowler over an extended period of time. And if there's one bit of advice I can give coaches, and I learnt this myself as well, if you think you see something, just hold off from saying it. Is it consistent? Is what you think you are seeing consistent, or is that just a one-off? Because often less is more. Some coaches, and I've made this what I think is now a mistake, saying too much. But often less is more. So this bowler has got a lot in place. So I would then start asking questions around, okay, show me a spell with a new ball. How does he bowl with a new ball? How does he bowl to a right and left hand combination? Keep changing around. Is he able to change his line, change his length to a right and left hand combination? Get the ball back every time he bowls, and this, the ball will scuff up. He looks like he's bowling with a white ball here. Show me the ball every time he bowls. I want to see if he's hitting the seam. What field would he have? Can he bowl to that field? What's he like bowling in the middle overs? Let's say this is a 50 over game. What's he like bowling at death? Set a scenario. I'd want to see him in matches. What's he like when he's under the pump, when there's a bit of pressure? what's his mindset when he's gone for 4 boundaries in a row? What's he like when he has to defend 9 runs off the last over? I'd have to start building more context and more kind of scenarios and seeing the strengths of this bowler, because we all have certain strengths, and this goes back to my first message about instead of saying, right, what am I doing wrong? Maybe the right question or a better question is, this is what I'm doing well. Can I make those even stronger? And in a game, can I just stick to my strengths? Because answering the question, what am I doing wrong? You're focusing on weaknesses. And when you're in a game, in competition, you want to stick to your strengths. All right. So this bowler does a lot right. There's a little bit about his kind of angle, those 4 strides. Remember, jump, back foot contact, front foot contact, first stride follow through. What are those strides telling you about where his energy is going? Do they line up? And if you extended them, tracked them and extended them, are they taking this bowler down the wicket? There might be a little bit of tidying up there, but again, I wouldn't dive in there. I just observe it. Right, left hand. How often does he beat the bat when he's got a new ball in his hand at training and in matches? How often does he hit batters on the pads, plays and misses? How often does he create opportunities for wickets? All right. Okay. That is that 25 minutes of droning on. What's the key points to imply effective off or leg cutters? Hello, Stuart. It's Will. Hey, Will, how you doing? I got your dad on this on the other line. How was Jono this evening? And fast bowler, Pakistan, first class county. Brilliant. Pete Thomas. I used to play cricket with a Pete Thomas when I first started playing in Bath. I wonder if it's the same Pete Thomas. Good lad. Okay. Haydos 280. I wonder if that's the Haydos. Great session, Will. I'm pleased. I'm not surprised. Richard Johnson is a quality human being and a high quality coach. Right, that's it. That is this week's live analysis. I am sorry that it did not connect yet again to my Substack. I'm going to come on with you in a minute. If you have not subscribed to my Substack, you're missing out, because I share a hell of a lot more, just little snippets, little insights, little Substack notes on my Substack. So I encourage you, if you are interested in learning more in written form as well as video, I talk a lot about when I played against Sachin Tendulkar on his very first tour to England in 1990 as a 16-year-old. And I wrote a while ago now about not really knowing who he was, but there was something about him that I picked up when he walked out to bat, and he actually got out for 0. Can you believe that? Off spinner, I think it was Paul Remains was bowling. Bowled a long hop, and Sachin just hit it straight down square leg's throat, and off he walked again. But the fact he didn't score any runs, he walked off, and there was something that kind of stood out, just the way he held himself. Walked off, obviously disappointed. That was the tour where he actually scored a Test 100 against England. I think that was at Old Trafford. But I wrote about it recently, just about the importance of body language and holding yourself and confidence. Where does confidence come from? Because you cannot solely rely on confidence coming from performing. Because you're not always going to perform. You're not always going to take 5 wickets. You're not always going to score 100. You will get crap umpire decisions when it's not out, and you're going to get 8 for 0. You are going to get that ball that doesn't bounce off of the wicket and just rolls along the floor and hits you on the shin right in front. Or so you cannot solely rely on performance. Of course, performing well has an impact on your the way you feel about yourself and your confidence. But there was something about Sachin. He walked off looking like he was confident. So I talked about that, and I talked about the importance of body language and all the other like great cricketers that I've had the pleasure of working with, playing against, seeing in the dressing room, and they all have similar things. They talk a certain way. And they hold themselves a certain way as well. Confident, even if they're not performing. Confidence comes from delivering on the promises you make to yourself, which is why the small group of young cricketers I work with, I talk a lot about habits, designing your day ahead, designing the week ahead. And I've already started working with some on designing this season, all around standards. Now, standards, I'm on one now, aren't I? Standards are the things that you do when nobody is watching. All right. Standards. If you go about your business a different way in front of your parents, your teammates, or a selector of a team that you are desperate to work in. If you go about your business, train differently, turn up differently, prepare differently in front of a selector, that is inconsistent standards. And consistent performances are always on the back of consistent standards and behaviors. So I'm speaking at the moment on with some young cricketers on designing their season, whatever their goals are, but then working out what their standards are when they get up, how they hydrate, how they sleep, how they train, how do they train when nobody is there watching versus how do they train when there are people there watching. So, standards are the things that are going to put you ahead of everybody else or not. Right, that's it. Just hop onto Instagram quickly for one last time. Love your stuff, Joe. Thank you. Appreciate your support. So many questions. What factor is important for a bowler? You need to work out what the one important factor is for you as a bowler. All right. That's where you need to work with a good coach. Right. I'm going to say goodbye to you, Instagram. I'm staying on here. If you haven't subscribed to my Substack, click the link in my bio. Find the link to my Substack, subscribe, because that is where I'm hanging out right now for another 20 minutes or so. And you will get access to much more than what I share on here. Thanks for joining me. I don't underestimate the impact of this. I'm very grateful that you've hopped on, seen that I'm live. I hope you got something from it. Catch you later. Bye-bye. So I don't know what's going on with this link. Okay. How are we doing? How are we doing? I wonder if I hop on to, I need to sort the link out. I'll be calling you, Jaden, for that. I'll work it out myself, don't worry. How are we doing? Standards, habits, behaviors. Often we go straight to technique. I get it all the time, all these DMs and all this kind of stuff. Back foot contacts, how to grip the ball and all that kind of stuff. It is important, all of that kind of stuff, but not as important as how often you do it. You know, um, you know, you train your mind. How can you get ahead of your competition in a very humble way, all right? But get competitive about it. It's all a competition. How can you get ahead of everybody and stay ahead of everybody? Is it about hitting more balls, bowling more balls, going to the gym more, running more, doing more stretches? Maybe, probably. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, didn't do them any harm. Getting up at like 3, 4 a.m., getting a gym session in. What's his name? Not Scott Curry. Basketball player. 500 shots every day. Can't remember his name. Somebody Curry. Basketball. Before anyone else gets up. 500 shots in a day before he has to go to work. And funnily enough, he's one of the best shot makers, 3-pointers, like in the game, in the NBA. Maybe that is it. Maybe it is. Right, how are we all doing anyway? Talk to me. What's been happening? Ronaldo, yes. There's so many examples. Beckham, I like telling the story of Chris Wokes in that when he was, I don't even know, I'm going to make this up, but I don't even know what age group, Warwickshire age group he was playing in. I'm going to say under 13s, all right? Could be younger, could be older, but yes, Marcus, but his bowling coach, Steve Perryman, met him for coffee a few times, just keeps things really simple. I think that's really important to keep things simple. Talking a language, or use a language in such a way that whoever you are working with, at whatever age, they understand what you're talking about. I always think, okay, is what I'm about to say said in a way that my 6-year-old could understand? Not a bad place to start, is it? But Wokesy, Steve Perryman, um, if it was under 13s, let's say it is, Steve Perryman got all of the seam bowlers to buy a yo-yo, and some of you here would have heard me talk about this before. A yo-yo, and on match days, when the team were batting, he used to walk around the boundary with his under 13 seam bowlers with their yo-yos, just doing this all the way around, chatting about the game, talking about what just happened or what is going to happen when if the team's batting first. But they're doing this all the way around. And funnily enough, Chris Wokes became brilliant at doing that, his seam position. And that's all about repetition. So maybe it is doing more with purpose. I think that's the thing, because I put something together recently about, you can catch more balls. You can catch more balls than anybody else, but are they easy catches versus challenging catches? And one of the things I think is really important is if you set a drill up and it looks really easy, and let's say it's a catching drill, but there are no drop catches, it's probably the wrong drill, because in training, you want to move whoever you're working with towards the very edge of their capabilities to really stretch them. So what does that look like for a catching drill? Well, you might want to hit the ball a bit harder. You might want to, instead of coming straight into kind of in here, get them going low right, low left. Do something that makes them drop catches, because then all of a sudden it gives you something to work with and them to work with, the most important thing. How are you going to catch it? I'm going to wind up here. I always like hitting catches hard, but I use a incredible at this time of year for volume, because the last thing you want at the moment, I think, rightly or wrongly, is you don't want bruises in your little hot spots here, because they can turn into nasties, and all of a sudden you can't get that volume of catches in order to improve. But if they're not failing, if they're not dropping catches, if they're not missing the targets, then it's probably the wrong drill. So that's always quite a nice one to yeah. It's just, how can I change this drill to make them fail, but in a constructive way? I used to drive past Wilco rain or shine. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I'm really enjoying what he's sharing on Instagram at the moment. In fact, I've got my next Substack post article ready to go, which is obviously cricket related, but I quote Johnny Wilkinson, his cues that he used to use to keep him moving forwards. And my mind immediately went to, okay, I need bowlers to keep moving forwards. So yeah, look out for that. It's going to drop into your email boxes pretty soon. David. Oh yeah, nice, yeah. I know, and who was into cricket. I'll be up there on Saturday afternoon, David. So I'll catch up with you and your son then. I'm going up. Now, the reason I'm going up, so Derby Uni, just to give a bit of a quick fit, Sam Hunt. I've had a lot of conversations with Sam, and I like how he talks about developing cricketers, bowlers. All right. Now, the best and the quickest results I've ever seen is when a bowling coach, works very closely with an S&C coach, because a technical tweak change always needs a physical change as well. So one of some of the best conversations I've had is, right, sitting down with the S&C coach and talking them through, this is what I'm seeing in this bowler right now. This is where I'd like to see him, the positions, the footwork, the posture, the delivery strike, whatever it might be. This is what I would like to move them towards looking like in 4 or 5 months' time. Knowing that there has to be a physical change in order to really bed in and make consistent a technical change. How can you help me with their gym program in order to make those physical changes? Because then if there's a physical change, it makes my job not easier necessarily, but simpler, because I know in the background they are putting the physical tools in the bag to make those technical changes. All right. Yeah, David, I'll see you there. Throw a tennis ball back at the bowler just after a bowler's released. Yeah, caught and bowled. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I have done that, a similar drill before. Can you make it even more challenging? So you don't throw at every ball. You might choose to throw a cricket ball, or you might choose to hit a incredible back at them after they've bowled the ball, but not every ball, because they don't know when it's coming, right? Another one actually is another drill is they bowl the ball, and then on a call from the coach, they then have to imagine the batter has played a defensive shot and they're going for a quick single. So get some mats out. They have to pick up the ball, dive forwards to throw the stumps at the batter's end for a run out. Stuff like that. What are the possible situations that young cricketers, old cricketers will find themselves in when they are playing a game of cricket? And then, okay, be creative about how you can recreate that at training and some. And remember, the game is not slowing down, it's speeding up. So performing skills, and putting them under pressure to do it even quicker, that's the sweet spot. Claire, how you doing? Lovely to see you on here. I haven't got long left yet, actually. 5, 10 minutes. Any questions? So what are the challenges out there at the moment that people are going through? What's going really well? What are the challenges? Anything you'd be really curious for me to chat about? I had a call last night with a small group. I'm doing last night was week 2 of a 7-week I'm calling it a pre-season masterclass, but it's basically jump on a call for an hour with me, and I've got 6 people on there. I did advertise it. Um, didn't get many takers, and that's fine. I didn't want many takers because I wanted to be in a small exclusive kind of group for this one. And we talked about building the engine. We talked about S&C, and we talked about the demands of the game. 50 over cricket was the example that I gave. On your feet for, if you don't bowl the opposition out, you're on your feet for 3 hours. And I gave very detailed data on GPS data on the distance covered by pace bowlers and the distance covered walking, running, sprinting, distance covered in total, minimum of 10 kilometers in 3 hours, and then kind of reverse engineering that. So, what does the demands of the game tell us? What does kind of good elite look like? What does that then look like at the standard you are playing? And then work it back. How do you train it? So we talked about the importance of running slow plods to really kind of get your engine. Slow plods, as in if you go out and running with somebody, you could have a conversation fairly easily with them. But that's kind of zone 2 running, that kind of stuff. David, God, I'm looking forward to catching up with you. What consensus do you think counties are looking for from a fast bowler? Raw pace, technical ability, both, but would they choose raw pace over anything? Do you know what? So let me talk about me. Of course, as a pace bowling coach, as a cricket coach, I'm interested in pace. Of course I am. But very quickly, when I see somebody that looks like they intend to bowl at their optimum pace, whatever that pace is, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, there's something about the way they move, how they enter the crease, how they get from back foot to front foot is something I really look at. Do they get off their back foot quickly and into front foot and spend time pulling over their front foot? So how they transfer from back foot to front foot is something I look at. So if there is a bit of pace about them, I very quickly then turn to skill. What's their seam position like? Do they get a lateral movement? So line length, yeah, of course, that's important. But young bowlers, yes, pace, but I personally am as interested in skill. Do they know how to hold a ball? Do they know how to hit the seam? Can they swing the ball? So that's me. But I do know that there's a big plan, and I think it's come down from the top, just plugging my iPad in. Pace. So my opinion, right or wrongly, counties, um, I say I'm no longer with a county, but pace is something we're always interested in. But how do you get pace? I always think, how do you get pace? Optimum pace, good pace comes from staying behind the ball. So if I'm bowling away from you, finish behind the ball there. If somebody is rolling off, and there's plenty of those rolling behind the ball through release, you're taking pace out of the ball. So I always think, yes, pace, but you get kind of true pace with a bowler that has already learned the art of staying behind the ball through release. I always think a nice cue is, can they, even if they have a gap or not, it doesn't really matter. Can they almost think like they are slicing the ball in half, straight in half, through release in order to present that? And if they can, they're bowling at their optimum pace, whatever that is at that point. So yes, pace, but I very quickly then look at skill. Where are they at? Are they a roller? Are they a swing bowler? Then swing bowlers tend to just slide one side or the other. So it's not a roll, it's not a cut. They slide one way or the other to get a slant of the seam for swing. Yeah, that's just my opinion. It's not the right nor the wrong opinion. It's just my opinion. All right. Anything else? Anything else quickly? I will sort out whatever the link is or has gone wrong with my the live link. I use a platform called StreamYard. So I do one video and it normally goes across multiple platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Substack. But for some reason, 2 weeks in a row now, it's not even asked for my the way I normally set it up. Anyway, it's my problem. It's not yours. Anything else before I have to go? John, Will, I'm glad that he's had another decent training session. I'm looking forward to catching up in a couple of weeks' time. Anything else? Claire, how you doing? How's Joe going? Yeah, good. All right, I'm going to shoot. As always, David, yeah, I mentioned last week about a running coach. I've just mentioned runs, which so is obviously important. Is there a list of decent coaches that could come and speak to leagues? We'll have a chat about that on Saturday. Yeah, John, don't worry, I will. David, don't worry, we'll chat more on Saturday. I do have a bit of work to do with. I mean, I'm interested in all the bowlers that are there to be assessed, and the Saturday thing that David Sun's talking about. Cheers, John. Is young bowlers being assessed just like professional bowlers do. So there's physios there that will be assessing limb lengths, imbalances with muscles, right side, left side, strength tests. Not sure if there's a running test. There might be sprint tests, bowling, ball speeds, all that kind of stuff. Getting as much information in there as possible, because then cheers, Will. Because then if there are any imbalances, it's something as a bowling coach that I can be aware of and work with. All right. And so Saturday, the session that David is talking about, Saturday is all about collecting information. That's all it is. Collecting information and taking away as much guesswork as possible. But we will chat about running and coaches and stuff like that. I actually think that teaching people how to run, and I've spent some more time putting together a foundation course with drills that I am going to look to add to my kind of store. But I think that all of those things are easier if a couple of things are in place. One, they're taught from an early age how to run, move, jump, bounce, balance, coordinate from a very early age. And one of the easiest ways you can do that is to play multi-sports. I am a fan of multi-sports: football, rugby, tennis, hockey, cricket, obviously. All right. Okay, look, I'm going to shoot. I don't take any of this for granted. I do really appreciate everybody's support. I hope you find all this kind of stuff interesting and you take something and it adds some value. My mission is to help as many people as I can around the world. That's what technology is affording me, that opportunity. There are ways to get closer access to me. Of course, there is. So if you are interested in that, take a look at the various subscriptions. If it's not for you, that's fine. But, you know, you can get closer to me if you consider that. Otherwise, have a great evening, David. I'll see you and your son on Saturday. I'm going to be dropping my latest post into your email boxes over the next couple of days. Thank you, as always. Appreciate you. Love you.